As I was thinking about my presentation this morning, I thought about my dad, and my dad worked in the Long Beach Naval Shipyard during World War II. And I remember talking to him about the ships that he worked on, and I asked him if he ever saw any of the ships actually be launched that he had worked on. He said, yeah, I saw quite a few of them. And I said, well, how'd you feel? What'd you think about when you saw the ship when they broke the champagne bottle across the bow and saw it slipping down the ways into the water? And he said, well, you know, there's a lot of anticipation in the crowd and a tinge of anxiety, but really he said he was very proud to have worked on those ships and proud of his workmates that worked so diligently to put those ships together. And he said he was confident in himself because he knew that he had done the very best that he could do, and his workmates had done the very same thing, because he realized that people's lives depended on what he did and what his workmates did with those ships. So in launching CASI, let's take a look at where we've been and where we're going to be going in later presentations. First of all, let's take a look at the people who were the inspiration for a young graduate student back in the early 90s to dedicate his life to conservation tillage. Several of these folks you probably know. If you've been to any of our workshops in the Valley, you'll recognize Dwayne Beck. Dwayne, Andy was at our workshops, as well as Carl Cuppers has been to workshops at 5 Points. Many of these folks have come out and talked to the farmers here in the Valley on conservation tillage. As you can see, starting in the past 10 years, much information has been developed, much research has been going on, much work has been going on developing machinery and techniques to improve the farming practices here in the Valley. And these have been going on in a parallel course with other research that's been going on in cover crop residues, in how they improve the soil quality. Single crop CT development was thought to be the way to go, because we had to have the techniques proven before we could take this out to the farmers in the Valley. We started integrating those individual soil improving practices as well in the late 90s. And we've had some goals all along the way that we've tried to follow. Initially, they've been rather just more guidelines. What was the name of that movie that had guidelines in it anyway? There weren't rules, they were guidelines. The first thing that we wanted to make sure was that what we were bringing to the agricultural community was that our practices would improve the economics of agriculture. Economics, we knew if our practices were not economical, then they weren't going to be adopted. So therefore, we necessarily keyed in on economics, as well as the environmental impacts of the farming. We worked very closely with farmers early to get their crop budgets developed, so that we could see here in 2006 we were saving $70 an acre, and as we improve our techniques, we're seeing improvements of $150 an acre. That's per acre savings. We also look at the environmental impact of the conservation ag systems. Earthworms are a very good indicator of environmental and soil quality. And we're seeing time and again here, Alan Sano is seeing earthworms in his fields for the first time in 30 years. We were out just a couple of weeks ago doing some filming on a farm, and a farmer voluntarily said that he's seen earthworms in his field for the first time ever. So we're keying in as well on the environmental impacts of our ag systems. Part of what we're doing, and a significant part of what we're doing, is an information program, because information is the start of farmers making decisions about conservation. A big thing is to taking the different no-till and strip-till equipment around to farms and in field days, so that farmers can look at what we're doing, look at the equipment, because one of the deciding factors for a farmer to implement an innovative practice is how much does it mimic what he's already doing. And a lot of this equipment is just a slight change to what they're already doing. So it's important that we take this equipment around and show farmers what it's all about. We've been dedicated to partnering with innovative farmers for successful demonstrations. Another important adoption principle is that if a person can see something demonstrated, then they have a much better chance of adopting that practice, as opposed to just subjectively looking at it and saying, well, I don't think that'll work on my place. These are our heroes. These gentlemen have stepped up. They have lent us their farms. They have lent us their knowledge. They have inspired us to continue working in conservation tillage. We really, really appreciate these farmers. I mean, we could not have gotten to this point without their help. And it's very heartening, too, to actually have farmers step up and make the presentations to other farmers. The best sales technique that we have seen in getting conservation practices applied is farmers talking to other farmers. And that's one of the keystones of our information program. We've been dedicated to emphasizing whole farm systems, not just the tillage and not just the irrigation either, but the whole gamut of resource situations, looking at soil quality, water quality and quantity, nutrient and pest management. We've been dedicated to creating a multifaceted information and education program. Press releases are one of the items in our program. We have had farmers develop their own presentations and make these presentations at farmer meetings. This is one of Tom's presentations. Farmer tour in 2007. We had many farmers go with us to Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, Wyoming, looking at successful conservation tillage and farming practices. Here are the folks that went back in 2007. We're very happy and very pleased that we have finally been able to hire an education coordinator and a videographer. Our education coordinator will be developing science modules for FFA, 4-H, and high school science classes that will center on conservation agricultural practices. Our videographer is going to make a series of modules in helping farmers who haven't been out on the farm looking at what we've been doing, looking at the videos and seeing that these are real farmers doing these practices. We've had a continuing presence at the World Ag Expo, where we meet farmers from not only here in the Valley, but all over California and all over the world. We've talked to folks from Europe and China and Turlock. Workshops are another mainstay of the work that we've been doing, and they are very well received, and I'll have to say that we have one of our benefactors in the audience now that we have relied upon to help fund those workshops, and he's with Southern California Edison. Rob, would you please show your hand? Thank you very much. Rob Farber from Southern California Edison. Our goals have been to bring people together, not only the farmers, but the general public as well, because it's the general public that is going to support agriculture and see that it flourishes here in the San Joaquin Valley if they see that the farmers are doing their job in helping clean the environment. Again, the innovative farmers that we have and that we're working with are exceptional at stepping up, making presentations, talking with folks, not only to other farmers, but to other organizations as well. We've joined the Nationwide Conservation Ag Systems Alliance, where we have members from all of the many states in the nation that are practicing conservation tillage, as well as some international folks as well, Canada. We've had many firsts along the way. First ever subsurface drip coupled with permanent beds in strip till cover crop fresh market tomatoes, 2003. A big step forward in tomato production. First ever conservation tillage in cotton into corn stubble. We've scaled up commercializing the practices so that it's not just on the experiment station. We take these practices out to the field in real situations. This is an interesting slide here in that you'll see that they're harvesting the wheat for silage here, and right in the same field they're coming back and they're planting corn on the same day. Never been done before. Usually there's a several day to several week lag time between crops because of having to till the field. Pivot systems are making inroads into the valley, and they provide a measure of flexibility and irrigation that I think farmers are really going to appreciate once they get into these conservation practices. We developed our first ever strategic plan in 2008. It was difficult, to say the least, in getting everyone, not just getting everyone together, that wasn't the difficult part, but everyone had great ideas. Everyone had wonderful things that they wanted to see done, and we worked over a year with video conferencing, getting everything together into a succinct strategic plan. And you'll see that our goals are to increase the adoption of conservation ag systems to more than 50% of the cropping acreage by the year 2028. Now that's a lofty goal. Develop and deliver information on the economics first, and environmental benefits of conservation ag systems. Partner with national and international conservation organizations, and to serve as a clearinghouse for information to promote conservation ag systems. And last but not least, increase funding for conservation ag systems research, education, and adoption. This fourth goal is what has led to CASI today. First ever 16-row strip tiller in California. First ever overhead irrigation of processing tomatoes in California. First ever strip tilling grain corn and irrigating it up with a center pivot irrigation system. First ever California Overhead Irrigation Alliance meeting in October of 2010. Many of the attendees are here today. Our tomato crop strip till demonstration sites, several within the state, looking at different situations, different soil conditions, how strip tillage works in all of those different situations. We recognize that the adoption or behavior change, that is the process that people go through to make decisions, is not straightforward and it's not easy. It's not all about money. It's not all about information. Information has been proved not to be the main thing that people make decisions on. There's a whole host of other information that we have learned through our work with fostering sustainable behavior that we need to key in on in our adoption work. The first sentence here, the cornerstone of sustainability is behavior change. Sustainability requires individuals and businesses, for example, alter transportation choices, increase energy efficiency. To date, most programs to achieve these changes have relied upon disseminating information. Research demonstrates, however, that simply providing information has little or no effect on what people or businesses do. If that's the case, then what do we do? And what we're doing is we're developing a multifaceted information and education program. One of the aspects is a farmer conservation tillage survey. And we will be looking and analyzing those results this coming year. We have a graduate student hired to do that for us. Plans for the future. Looking at another farmer tour. And although we probably won't be going to all of these places, we are looking at going to the Pacific Northwest and looking at the very successful programs they have there. Arizona, Iowa, Texas, Georgia. They talk funny in Georgia. And Brazil. My dad's from Georgia, I know. Also, again, this is a program that is being funded by Southern California Edison, and that is we're bringing an international team of speakers from all around the world to talk about conservation agriculture and controlled traffic farming. Look for that in the coming future. We're not having it just at AgTech either. We've seen that our audience draw isn't as effective in one place, so we're taking it out all throughout the valley. So that's where we've been, a little bit about where we're going. CASI is an agricultural nonprofit organization that combines research, demonstration, education, and adoption for the economic and environmental well-being of the farmers in the San Joaquin Valley. Thank you very much.
Additional information about these innovative conservation agriculture systems is available on the Conservation Agriculture Systems Innovation website.